Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for the If I Could Only Keep 10 Books challenge. I'm not 100% sure who created this challenge, so I will figure it out and make sure that I put that person's details in the description below. I wasn't tagged to do this video by anyone, I just thought that it looked like a lot of fun. I've been seeing it around on BookTube in the last few months, so I thought it would be really fun to do. I am putting a little bit of a spin on it because I'm going to be joined by my partner Rowan, so we have both chosen 10 books that we're going to show you, and I think the plan is that we're then going to combine and see if we can get our 10 books down to 10 all up. So we'll each have 10 books and then we'll see if we can get the 20 down to 10 that we would jointly keep if we could only have 10 books. So the premise is just that. If you can only keep 10 books, or in this case 10 each, in your house, there is no rules about you can have access to the library, you can have access to your phone, etc. So there's no rules around these are the only 10 books you're ever going to read ever in your life, but these are the only 10 books you're allowed to keep physically in your house. I think the caveat was that you're assuming you don't have an e-reader, because otherwise you could just say, I'll keep this one book and then I'll have all the books. So, but yeah, that is the video that we are going to make. So Rowan's going to come and join me now and we will make the video. Hello. Here we are, we have our 10 books that we've both chosen. So we are going to show you what they are and tell you why we have chosen them. And I think we might do one at a time, do you think?
Sure.
One and then one. So Rowan, what is your first book?
Alright, top of the pile. I've cleverly sorted mine by size, so...
Very clever.
Nope, I messed it up.
Oh no.
I can't even sort by size. Anyway, in arbitrary order, The Lies of Locke Lamora, because it's a great book. Basically, this one, like, there's no particular reason that I chose this over any of my other books, other than it's just one of my favourites.
That's a perfectly good reason.
Kind of the odd one out for, like, not having any particular...
story behind it or anything.
Well, the story behind why I'd choose this over...
One of your favourite books is an absolutely perfectly good reason to keep a book.
Yeah. I'm just, like, constantly astonished by Locke, the character, like, always being able to find a way to make his situation worse.
Yeah.
By doing the right thing badly.
It really is quite incredible talent.
Yeah.
Talent.
Yeah. It's a superpower.
Yeah. Before we continue, I should just say that some of these we both will have read and others we won't both have read.
Yeah,
so
Mel reads a lot more than I do.
That's true also. I'm actually going to start with a book that I don't physically have with me, and that's because it is currently at my grandmother's because I am reading it to her. And I'm probably cheating because I have chosen a book that is in fact a bind up of 7
omnibus
books, yeah, an omnibus. All of the published novels of Jane Austen. Like I said, it is at my grandmother's. I love Jane Austen. I love all of the novels. I'm pretty sure I've read all of them, but I love all the ones I have definitely read. So I definitely wanted to keep a Jane Austen, but I just happen to have this one. But also, the main reason I'm keeping this as opposed to Pride and Prejudice only or whatever is that this was actually a birthday present from my grandparents when I was either 17 or 18. I'm not 100% sure which, but either of those two. So I've had it for a long time. We used to get together and watch the miniseries, BBC miniseries with Colin Firth in it all the time. That used to be a thing that we would do together, and then they bought me this bind up. So it's got a lot of sentimental value as well as being some of my favourite books of all time. So yeah, that's my first one.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Graceling. Picked this one specifically for being my favourite, less mainstream superpower coming of age, like journey of self-discovery story.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's a fantastic book.
Yeah, it is. Next up, I have chosen this copy of Anne of Green Gables. So it's basically 2 reasons why I would choose this particular version of Anne of Green Gables. First of all, because it's gorgeous. I just love it. It's absolutely beautiful.
The shiny object.
The shiny object factor, yes. Yeah. It is one of the Puffin and Bloom editions. I currently have this and Heidi. I'd like to collect the other 2, which I think is Little Women and The Little Princess. But the other thing is that Anne of Green Gables is just one of my favourite stories. It is so sweet and lovely, and again, I watched a mini-series of it back in the day when I was like 10 or something and absolutely fell in love with it, and then obsessively read all the books, and I've just always really liked it, and yeah, so I want a copy of it. And obviously you keep the beautiful books, right?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, so that's my
Okay.
first physical book that
Because
I
you can
currently
still
have.
read like all of the editions if you want.
Yeah.
Number 3. Any of the Douglas Adams. This is Restaurant at the End of the Universe, because I think my sister has the copy of Hitchhiker's Guide that I grew up with.
Aww.
I think this is technically her dad's.
Okay, right.
Anyway, Stolen Books. I love Douglas Adams. He's an absurdist. Storytelling is just way up my alley.
Yeah, very, very good. But series, you should read them. Are you keeping that particular? Would you keep that particular one because of the connection with Emily? Or?
Not necessarily. I picked any of them because like the one we have, the omnibus with like all of the Hitchhiker's Guide in it, kind of felt like cheating. I thought I was picking books.
And yet I went ahead and cheated anyway. Yeah. So he could have got the omnibus. Yeah. Oops.
Anyway, yeah, if I can pick any of the Adams off the shelf and read it.
Yeah.
So that's...
And then it would remind you to get the rest on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next book is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. This is just one of my favourite books, again, of all time. I love Neil Gaiman's writing style. I love his way of looking at the world and creating worlds, and yeah, I think he's a really, really clever author. And I read this first when I was living in London, and so I just really enjoyed that because there are a lot of references to little things about London that are kind of like in jokes if you know London, and that just added to the experience. And my best friend Rachel and I were living together at the time, and we were reading it together. Well, not together. I read it and then she read it. Well, the other way around. Not quite sure. But either way, we both just really enjoyed that experience and both enjoyed getting the inside jokes. So, yeah.
Brave New World. This one I have specifically chosen because of the association with my sister. Basically, she was always, well, I don't want to predict what she's gonna get me for my birthday or Christmas, but like if it's a book that makes me think, I'm happy with that. She has done that many times. I have a section of my shelf dedicated to books my sister got me, and they're all great in one way or another. This one is an excellent reminder that eugenics is bad.
Yep.
Like, don't.
Yep. Weird dystopian-ness. Yeah. Yep. The next book that I have here is Chocolat by Joanne Harris. Again, it's one of my favourite books of all time. I read this just after I watched the movie first, and then read this after the movie came out, which was in like 2000 and something. So half of you are not going to have seen it or / read it because it's quite an old book now. And yeah, it's just really, really lovely book. It's really well written. I really, really love the way Joanne Harris writes. It's just really beautiful, so I would keep it because I love it.
Whippersnappers should get off your lawn and then read that book.
Yeah.
R.A. Salvatore, Legend of Drizzt. This one is Homeland. They're all very approachable fantasy novels, and basically I keep an extra copy of this around in case I come across somebody who like expresses an interest in reading fantasy novels and I want something very approachable.
So you'd recommend that as like a beginner to fantasy?
Like if you know someone who loves the Lord of the Rings movies and they say, hey, I should read the books, I would recommend that over the Lord of the Rings books, just for being better.
Very accessible.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, that's a great segue into the next book I have, which is The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Okay, so if we're talking about cheating, if I was literally only going to have 10 books, what I would actually do is buy the fancy new special edition that is all 3 books combined into one, that has some of Tolkien's original illustrations and different things like that, and then that would be the one that I would keep, because then I'd get all 3, but also I'd get a beautiful, beautiful
custom bind every book you own into 10 volumes.
But if I'm going off the books I actually have in my possession right now, I have the 3 volumes of the distinct volumes, so I would go with The Fellowship. It's my favourite of the 3. I just really like the Fellowship and the interactions between the characters, and yeah, and I love the Hobbits and the Shire, so I think that I would keep this one out of the 3. And then, like Rowan keeps saying, I would remind myself to go and get the others from the library when I was rereading.
The interactions between the way too many probably completely interchangeable and largely redundant characters is I would recommend Salvatore over Tolkien to someone who is not already invested in the series. I'm not just trying to start a war in Mel's comments. If you know that Tolkien isn't actually that great, like, write it in the comments below.
If you completely disagree and think I'm correct and that Tolkien is fantastic, then write that in the comments below and tell Rowan that he is wrong, please. And now moving on to Rowan's next book.
Where's Man's Fear?
By Patrick Rothfuss. Because
because like, it's probably my favourite series, and I think the stronger of the two main volumes out yet. So I also have the short stories, but like I wouldn't keep those over the one where stuff starts coming together more.
The next book that I have on my pile is Good Omens by Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. Again, one of my favourite books of all time. I just love it. I love both of these authors, and so the combination of the two of them together is just amazing. Read Pratchett first, and then I found this, and then that was my intro to Neil Gaiman. So it's also kind of special because it introduced me to a new amazing author.
Stand Still, Stay Silent. It's just gorgeous. It is like probably the most beautiful graphic novel I own. I also like the story and the characters, and particularly the cats. I just like that it has cats as like a part of the lore.
Yeah.
And they have their own roles.
Yeah.
My cunningly devised, stack them in order of size, has fallen apart by the fact that now I have no way to put them that isn't an inverted pyramid.
Yeah, it doesn't work when it's going the other way. My next book is A Monstrous Regiment of Women by L'Oreal King. This is actually the second book in this series. This is the Mary Russell series, and it is a retelling sort of inspired by the Sherlock Holmes canon. Yeah, I just really, really love this series. I think that it's fantastic. The author is amazing. She is so intelligent, and the main character, Mary Russell, is just one of the most amazing characters I've ever read. I love her as a character. She's so intelligent and feisty and just incredible. This is the second one. I do love the first one, but there's just something about this that just really speaks to me for some reason. I know that's a very melodramatic way of putting it, but yeah, I just love them all. But if I'm only keeping one, then this is the one I'm keeping, because I don't have a bind up of all 14 books.
Shut Up, I Am Delicious. This is a publication of the webcomic Two Lumps. I just like it because it's cats, and it's about the adventures of like two cats, like in their daily lives, expressing their cat-like personalities.
Rowan kind of likes cats a lot.
I do, it's true. The whole series is online, so
go and read it.
Yeah, if you like cats.
If you like cats, go and read it. Next up we have, or I should say, Jingo by Terry Pratchett. So you may have noticed that I managed to have one Neil Gaiman, one Pratchett, and one Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett. It's just how I roll. This is actually the third book in the Watch series, which is one of the series within the overarching Discworld series, which is Pratchett's most well-known books. And I don't know why it's my favourite, but it's my favourite. I did kind of think about whether or not it still was my favourite, and I almost picked up Going Postal. That probably is a slightly better book, in all honesty. So it was kind of a difficult choice between those three to keep if I was going to keep a book of Pratchett's. This is just one of those books that I read at the right time, and therefore has been really memorable to me. So yeah.
A reminder that critically better doesn't mean you like it more.
Yeah, pretty much.
Order of the Stick. So this is No Cure for the Paladin Blues, which is, well, it's labelled Volume 2, but I think the sequence now starts at -1.
Yeah, I think it's
so
Volume 4 in actual fact.
Yeah. Let's ignore the chronology and just say that it's one of my favourite webcomics. You know, it's D&D related. It's a adventuring dungeon party having their adventures.
Yeah. It's pretty fun.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've talked about it before.
I have on my channel, but quite a long time ago.
Link in the...
I'll put a link in the description.
Deeply Dab.
Yeah. Deeply Dab. The next book on my list is The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb. Again, I'm diving into the middle of a series. So this is the second book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy, which is the second trilogy in the Realm of the Elderling series. I love Robin Hobb in general. I love all of her books. She's an incredible storyteller, but I've always just loved the Live Ship Traders the most, and I think because I just really love the characters. There are a bunch of different characters that are really well written, and I love that you can see the breadth of her writing a little bit more than when she's focusing on Fitz in many of the other books. I mean, I'd want to keep all three, really, but this one is kind of, you know, it gets into the real meat of the story and you start to uncover a few things, but you haven't quite figured it all out yet, so you're still kind of going, oh, what's going on? Yeah, so that one. Rowan's last book.
Yeah, I know this one by feel, but also D&D Player's Handbook, because when you need one, you can't go to the library for it.
That's very true. That's a good point. It had not even occurred to me yet.
Yeah.
Good point. I'm glad Rowan had a good idea there. My last book is a much newer read for me than most of these other books, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I read at the end of last year, I think, sometime last year anyway. And I absolutely loved this book. I love V. Schwab's writing style. I think that their writing is just very lyrical and really just beautiful. And yeah, I really like the way this story was written. I really like the premise and what happens and everything like that. So it's definitely, I really want to reread it soon, actually. I think I've just realised that I should do that. But yeah, definitely would keep this one and think that it's beautiful. So yeah, that's our 10 books. So now we have to figure out what 10 books we would keep all together.
Okay.
Okay. How are we going to do this?
Are
we each going to pick
so
5?
I feel like the fair way to do this is that we each pick our favourites from the other person's pile.
Okay. All right.
And then if we have fewer than 10,
we can add.
You can add more books because, like, realistically, that's going to be more important.
True. True. Okay.
Hand me your pile.
Hand you. Oh, good lord. Ah!
I would also accept it in 2 goes.
That's right, I did it. Okay.
Right.
What did you pick?
I got Anne of Green Gables.
Yep.
Neverwhere.
Yep.
Good Omens.
Yep.
Jingo, like the Pratchett.
Yep.
And the Robin Hobb.
Alright, why did you pick those ones?
They're the ones I'd read.
They're the ones you would read. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. So I started out with the Dungeon Master's Guide because you're right.
Player's Handbook.
The Player's Handbook, yes. Yeah, much more important to own if you're going to own one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Player's Handbook, because you're right. If you need a Player's Handbook, you need to have a Player's Handbook. So it seemed like a sensible choice. And
I like that we can both foresee that need as being an important part of a world where we can only have 10 books.
Yeah. And then I picked The Wise Man's Fear because I know that Patrick Rothfuss is one of your favourite authors, and I really enjoyed this series as well, so I would reread them also. And then I picked The Lies of Locke Lamora for the same reason.
Because the superpower of making it worse.
Exactly. And then I picked The Restaurant at the End of the Universe because also I love Douglas Adams as well, so I would definitely reread this also. And then I picked this one because I've not read these.
The Bob Salvatore.
Yeah, and I feel like I ought to. For some reason, when I picked one up, and for some reason I couldn't get into it, and I don't know if it was just the mood I was in or what, but I definitely want to give it another try, and also I have to see, about this comparison with the Lord of the Rings.
You had that trouble with it, and you think Lord of the Rings is like easier to get started with.
I didn't say that.
Right.
So I actually also just wanted to
it's better structured, and all the characters are important.
I actually also just wanted to say that these 3 I didn't pick because they're all webcomics.
Online first. Yeah.
So, yeah, because I was also considering grabbing Heartstopper. Well, I mean, one of the volumes. Anyway. But you can just read that on Webtoons the same. So, or one of the many places they've published their works. Or I could just watch this TV show over and over and over again.
That's true, you could.
I could.
Fantasy world where you can just watch the same show over and over again, but only have 10 books.
Yeah, it's a weird little fantasy world we live in.
I guess this world is some kind of limbo, where like everything is a repeat of what you did like the previous month.
I guess so.
Yeah.
This is the next video we're going to make. You can only watch 10-bit TV shows over and over again.
One show from each decade, whereas the only show from that decade you can watch.
However we want to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for our video. So thank you for joining me, Rowan.
It's wonderful to be here in my house.
So that was the If I Could Only Keep 10 Books challenge. Comment below what you thought of the books that Rowan and I decided to keep, what you thought of the overall books that we decided to keep in our final 10. Have you done this video yourself? Please link that below so I can go and check it out because I think it's a really fun video. And yeah, if you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me a stack of books emoji because we have a stack of books with us for this video. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and follow me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.